Why is Crash's name Crash Bandicoot? It should be like Spin Bandicoot. When does he ever really crash? Very seldom will you see Crash Bandicoot crashing. And who says you have to name someone based on what they do? Like when a baby isn't born, you don't name them Crying Johnson. My name isn't Crying Birdman, even though that's how I started life. It makes no sense. But let's say we do name things for what they do. Like I said, when does he crash? Spin Bandicoot, Jump Bandicoot, kill random animals as you run up, down, or to the side Bandicoot, destroy boxes Bandicoot. What I want to know is who put all these boxes on this tropical island. I feel like there was some kind of plane crash and just a bunch of boxes, some cargo plane just dropped a bunch of boxes on the island. And Crash is running around smashing all of them like a maniac. There's probably like people dying out in the woods. Help us, Crash. We had a horrible plane crash. Forget the boxes. Can you please call FEMA? There's hundreds of people who survived the plane crash. That's what people don't realize. Crash is actually the spiritual prequel to Lost. It all makes perfect sense. Or does it? The first Crash Bandicoot game was a pretty good introduction into the Crash Bandicoot series. I reviewed a couple of Crash Bandicoot games, including Crash Bandicoot 2. And the thing is, the first one, obviously, it's going to be a little worse because they didn't work out the kinks as they should in Crash Bandicoot 2 or any sequel to a first game. But it's not like it's almost as good as the second. Like almost. There's very few things worse than the second game. It's a very good start to a franchise. It's like Crash got a running start. Most franchises start a game and it's like they're just jogging. But Crash just started the race going 80 miles an hour and destroying boxes. For some reason, wherever Crash goes, there's a million boxes. He could just be walking down the street of Manhattan and just boxes appear ahead of him. He just attracts boxes. He's got some kind of box pheromone. But really, look at any classic 90s games that started a really great franchise. Look at Streets of Rage. The first one, a decent game, not great though by any stretch of the imagination. Then the second, best beat 'em up ever made. Third one, pretty good beat 'em up as well. But again, the first one, had a lot of kinks to work out. Crash has very few kinks to work out. The only thing I would say that isn't that good in this game is when you're jumping, but not just jumping on platforms. It's very specific jumping when you're bouncing off of these white boxes and you have to bounce off the box and jump onto another box. It's kind of hard to aim the jump, so you're going to fail here a lot of the time. But just regular platforming jumping, those are really tight in this game. So tight, in fact, that you can literally escape a boulder in real time, running really fast, and still almost never die if you're paying attention to what you're doing. This Indiana Jones boulder escape, it's pretty prevalent in games. It happens in other Crash games, it happens in like Pepsi Man. There's other games where this happens as well. But in Crash Bandicoot, the first one, it works really well just because of how good the controls are. And that's a compliment times 10, because this is great controls for a game from 1996. Can you believe this is a game from 1996? I mean, forget about how revolutionary and great the graphics look for 1996. Just how the character handles. When have you seen a 3D game from 1996 or before that handled and looked this well? Very seldom, or if ever. I mean, Mario 64 handled well, but not this well. It is your fault if you die in this game, just because of how good the controls are. But Crash seems to die a lot if you're not paying attention, just because there's so many obstacles, so many enemies on screen, so many places where you can just die. I mean, Crash can't swim, he falls in the water, he dies. Obviously, he can't fly, he falls into a hole in the ground, he dies. He touches an enemy and he doesn't have one of those floaty heads, he dies in one hit. It's not hard to die in this game, so you really need a lot of lives, and you do get a lot of lives. It just so happens that the more boxes you break open, the more lives you get. It's also really, really easy to die when you're fighting these boss type enemies, and also when you're running on a mount. You see, when you're on a mount, it's much like running through a regular level as Crash, but the difference is you're running faster, and also you can't stop. You can't slow down. So it's much like running away from the boulder. The only difference is when the boulders are coming at you, you're running from top to bottom, but when you're running on the mount, you're running from bottom to top. But both of these are very dangerous levels, and you will lose several lives if you're not paying attention. Crash also gets bonus stages in this game. When he collects like 3 pictures of this blonde Bandicoot lady, he goes into a bonus stage. I don't even get that. Like, why is bleach blonde hair sexy to a Bandicoot? I understand why it's sexy to humans, but Bandicoots, they're just trying to like copy humans. They're trying to look as human as possible. Stop trying to look like your oppressors, my Bandicoot sister. Show your natural, beautiful Bandicoot hair. Stop trying to anthropomorphize yourself. Crash 1 is a great game, a revolutionary game, but how does it compare to other platforming games? Let's compare it to a few. The first game I want to compare Crash 1 to is Dynamite Headdy for the Sega Genesis. This is a game I reviewed, oh my god, 6 years ago. I reviewed this in 2011. 6 years! Wow, I can't believe I'm older than 6 years old. I can't believe I was alive in 2011. I feel like I was born somewhere around 2013. Dynamite Headdy for the Sega Genesis. If you have not played it, and as far as I understand, not a lot of people have played it, it's the best, hands down, the best platforming game on the Sega Genesis. You could easily argue it's the best platforming game ever, period. It had great graphics for the time, amazing music, and it had this really awesome special thing in the game where you picked up different heads which gave you different powers. Like Dynamite Headdy would pick up a head that would make him really tiny, so he can walk through like really tiny corridors in the game. He would pick up a head that could make him grab things, so he can like basically platform up places where he couldn't otherwise reach. He would pick up this hammerhead that made him hit really hard. Some heads weren't really helpful. Some heads actually hurt him, like a head that would just make him fall asleep. Obviously, you don't need that while you're fighting a bunch of weird looking enemies. The game just has this great setting. It's supposed to take place on stage. It's just something you need to experience. It has great graphics, a great setting. The story isn't really that great, but the setting in that game, that's where it's at. And of course, it controls great. I have nothing but great things to say about Dynamite Headdy. Did I mention it's great? Now, how does Crash Bandicoot 1 stack up with that? Well, first of all, Crash Bandicoot 1, I would say, is only better in one aspect, and that's the graphics. For 1996, these were revolutionary graphics. Everywhere else, I think Dynamite Headdy definitely edges out Crash Bandicoot by a mile and a half. By a mile and a foot and a leg and a chicken breast and a chicken wing and a spin. Dynamite Headdy is a legendary game. I recommend you checking that out. And by the way, all the games that I'm talking about, that I'm comparing to these games, there's links at the bottom of the video in the description where you can just watch my reviews of all these games. Now, the second game, and I think the last game I want to compare to Crash Bandicoot 1, would be Pitfall 3D: Beyond the Jungle. It was a platforming game for the PlayStation 1. I believe it came out roughly around the same time as Crash Bandicoot 1, so it's a good comparison. And the gameplay is pretty similar as well. The graphics in Pitfall 3D were not as good as the graphics in Crash 1, not even by a long shot. The actual platforming, the controls, also not as tight, not as perfect. It was a little bit jerky, a little bit laggy, at least compared to this game. So just the meat and potatoes and the graphics of the game, like, you know, the important things in the platformer, don't stack up to Crash Bandicoot. So Crash is better than Pitfall 3D. But there was one aspect of Pitfall 3D that was amazing that Crash just didn't have, and that was the fact that Bruce Campbell voiced that entire game. He was Pitfall Harry, Pitfall Johnny, whatever that character's stupid name is, and he didn't just voice it in cutscenes. He would like throw out one-liners in the game as you were playing. And this might sound like it's Bubsy 3D where it can get annoying, but it wasn't really that annoying. I mean, sometimes it will get annoying, but most of the time when you have Bruce Campbell doing color commentary as you play, it's actually really fun. You want to hang out with Bruce Campbell. He seems like a fun guy to hang out with. And when you were playing that game, especially like in your room late at night, no one's around, you felt like you had company as you were playing, with Bruce Campbell cracking jokes. And it wasn't just company, it was the company of the hilarious Bruce Campbell, which made it even better. So that's just the one aspect I would say that Pitfall 3D beats out Crash Bandicoot 1. Overall, though, Crash is just a much better game, period. Just having really good voice acting from a legendary comedy actor, that's not going to make a game great. This is a game, it's not a movie. So that's Crash. It's a good game, good start to the series, and if you haven't played it and you're a fan of Crash games, it's definitely one to check out, maybe just for the historical aspect. And I mean, this game is historical. It's old as shit. It's a game from 1996. 21 years old. This game is old enough to drink. I'm literally going to pour some vodka on the game right now. It's about time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more classic game reviews. Goodbye, my friends.